it's RamView, but aren't you worried for the 49ers? This is RamView.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline.
Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the August 30th, 2024 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word. KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair, having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And of course, by Granite Ridge Christian Camp, a place where your life can change. Okay, so we are here. We're happy to be here. Quick announcement, at least in Kindle format, my book, Game Day in the Ram Cave, is released in ebook format. I haven't even had a chance to double check that thing. I don't even know what it looks like right now, but it's been a bear getting this thing off and out to you folks. But right now, Game Day in the Ram Cave by Joe Terosian is available in ebook format on Amazon. Go check it out. And that all supports us, keeping us on the air. We have no Patreon. We are not behind a paywall. And the hard copy, paperback version, will be out hopefully this weekend. Okay, so Ram stuff. It's Ram stuff, but 49er stuff. I've heard a few different people talking on their Western Division of the NFC previews, and I'm just stunned that people are still really in love with the 49ers. And we're going to take a longer look at them here in a minute, but it seems like a lot of people who do this for more money than I make haven't really been looking at the 49ers. And you see everything they're going through, and they're really pushing all their chips in right now, because I don't see how you can see there's another year in front of them. It has to happen this year, and it's already got off to an auspicious start. Not a very auspicious start because of all the injuries. So we'll get to that. Ram front, they're tinkering with the 53, and we'll talk about that. News came out from Jordan Rodriguez and then Cliff Jackson at Rams Wire followed up on it, and the talk about flipping Steve Avila back to left guard and moving Jonah Jackson, which was his first position, to center. And I kind of dismissed it a little bit, even though I know Jordan Rodriguez said it, and she's practically the oracle when it comes to Rams info. But you watch McVay speak about it, and they made a pretty good argument that they're both capable of doing both things, and they felt like maybe get a little bit more out of Avila at left guard at this point. So he said there's a strong possibility, which, okay, I'm good with it. It's McVay, right? It's McVay. Jackson's a pro. Avila's a pro. They're still going to be anchoring the inside of that, the interior of the Rams offensive line. What I took more from the McVay interview was his mentioning and optimism, speaking about Joe Noteboom and Warren McClendon, because the question keeps popping up, is Rob Havenstein going to be playing that Sunday night in Detroit? And you know, it's great. They got the next couple weeks off, next 10 days or so off before you get into that realm. But McClendon did play well in the preseason, and McVay spoke about him, and that's something that is a big deal. I think everybody kind of figures that out now, that if McVay's talking about you, it means McVay's happy with you. And so I think the Rams are feeling confident with Noteboom and McVay. Guys, this is why we keep Joe Noteboom. This is why you keep him. Joe Noteboom played in the playoffs in 2021. Andrew Whitworth didn't start in Tampa Bay. It was Joe Noteboom. Whitworth came back, played in the Super Bowl, but Joe Noteboom during that postseason was fantastic, and he's always been good filling in. He just had that suspect, 4 or 5 weeks as a starter before blowing his Achilles in 2022, and that should not be the narrative around Joe Noteboom. The Rams wouldn't have given him money if they didn't believe in Joe Noteboom. So to get us through 2 weeks at left tackle, I'm feeling confident, if McVay's confident, about Joe Noteboom. And, of course, Warren McClendon. And if the Rams can get a click out of Warren McClendon to open the season, but what does that just speak to the draft status of that class they had in 2023? Yeah, Zach Evans just got pinked. Oshwan Mathis just signed with the Patriots practice squad. but some key folks there, along with Nick Hampton, along with a guy named Puka Nakua, guy Steve Avila, punter named Ethan Evans. The Rams really scored big, and if McClendon comes in there and does a good job opening night, if Havenstein doesn't play, that's just going to speak again to the Rams' depth and to their ability to draft. JD Durham, thank you for joining us. Guys, I promise, throw your questions up and we'll get to them as we get to the middle of the show towards the break. I know there's college football going on right now, and I know I'm in competition with it. It's okay if we don't have a huge live audience. You guys have been great, and just keep checking us out, and we'll go from there through the weekend. We'll be back, of course, on Monday. But Zach Evans did get pinked. That's just got to be such a hard thing to be a player. You survive, you get cut, they put you back on the practice squad, and 2 days later they pink you, and Zach Evans is in the street now. His time as a Ram is over. The Rams have brought back Corey Durden, defensive tackle, on the practice squad, and they also cut the UDFA from Washington, Tuli Gasanoa, and people were really high on him when the Rams signed him as a UDFA, and now they put him in the street. The Rams practice squad currently rests at 16, and that's the league average, but they can opt to have one more because they get to keep 17 because they have that Olajiga, the defensive lineman who's from London, is an international player. So maybe the Rams are saving that spot for someplace else. Tim Powers, I will get to you in a minute. Bill, hope to see you in a minute. I'll be getting to your guys' questions and your greetings there. Looking around the NFL and other places, Brandon Ayuk signed 4 years, 120 walks, 76 guaranteed. And what I hear is taps being played by the 49ers. I think it's great news for the Rams. Think about it. George Kittle has hurt us. Every backup quarterback who's ever put on the red and gold for the 49ers has hurt us. Deebo Samuel has hurt us. Christian McCaffrey has hurt us. Has Brandon Ayuk really hurt the Rams? And right now, Brandon Ayuk's going to make more than Jalen Waddle, Devontae Adams, DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp, Devonta Smith, Nico Collins, DK Metcalf, and Deebo himself. And he's making less than only Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Tyreek Hill. And I think the 49ers overpaid, and they're going to pay the piper because they've got huge stuff. I think it numbers Deebo Samuel's days with the 49ers. The 49ers are going to pay 8 players 15 rocks or more this season, and that's counting star left tackle Trent Williams, who is still holding out. He's still holding out in hopes of receiving some more guaranteed cash, which affects the 49ers salary cap this year and going into the future years. Next season, they may have to boost Brock Purdy's contract. Technically, they don't have to, but if he has another year like he's had the previous 2, they may be compelled to take care of Brock Purdy. And you really want to mess around with somebody you consider your franchise quarterback. Again, speaking of the 49ers, Trent Williams is holding out. Adding to this, guard John Feliciano, no one is talking about him. He was graded out a top 5 guard last year in the league. Out of 79 guards, he was rated top 5 by PFF. And he went out with a knee surgery because he had a sore knee, had knee surgery, and he's not expected back till midseason. So they have an undersized, middle-of-the-road center in Jake Brendel, and they have a lower-tier right tackle in Colton McKivitz. Feliciano is out. Trent Williams is holding out. Aaron Banks is a 4th-year left guard out of Notre Dame, and he's not very good. I think there's trouble there in Frisco. Ambry Thomas, IR, busted arm. Trey Grenlaw is on the PUP. Kalia Davis, IR. Elijah Mitchell is on season-ending IR. And they just activated Talonia Hafanga from the PUP list. And he's not practicing full. So pretty interesting stuff there in Frisco land. I don't see the optimism. I just saw a note there from Tim Powers saying, that makes it sound like the Rams are in a panic because you're hearing some noise. I'd be more panicked if I was in Santa Clara and Levi Stadium. Other news, Browns released quarterback Tyler Huntley, who's going back to Baltimore. Cowboys signed Dalvin Cook. The Dolphins signed quarterback Tim Boyle, Robbie Chosen, and D. Eskridge. Does anyone remember Dwayne Eskridge? He was a player in 2021. The Rams interviewed twice interviewed twice, and Seattle took him before the Rams could get to him, and then the Rams went with Tutu Atwell. D. Eskridge was put in the street, and the Dolphins picked him up to their practice squad. Vikings signed former Ram quarterback Brett Rippon. Texans signed former USC, BYU, Pitt quarterback Keaton Slovis to their practice squad. Denver signs former Charger tight end Donald Parham. Chargers acquired Taylor Henneke from the Falcons for a conditional pick. And Adoree Jackson has returned to the Giants. Adoree Jackson, he's 28. Don't you remember when he left USC? There was that feeling that he was this next best thing, right? And it never worked out for him. He's been on the free agent market since March 13th, since the season opened. Other players, former Rams. Speaking of the Rams putting Tuli Agasanao on out of the practice squad, they cut him. Do you remember a guy named Elijah Garcia a few years ago out of Rice? Rams signed him as a UDFA. People were feeling optimistic about him, and he got signed by the Broncos off the Rams practice squad. Well, the Giants just signed him to their practice squad. They also added Duke Shelley, former Ram, there to their practice squad. And we mentioned Ochoa Mathis signed with the Patriots to their PS. And the Steelers, Steeler fan Rob in Missouri must be happy. The Steelers have signed Ben Skoranek and Boston Scott. Panthers have signed John Wolford. And former Ram UDFA kicker Cameron Dicker signed a 4-year, 22 rock extension for the Chargers, 12.5 guaranteed. Man, there's a miss by the Rams there. College football, I'm going to give my college football top 5 here in a minute. I only rank the teams I've seen play. I'm not going to rank North Dakota State. But watching that game last night, you walk away. Shedeur Sanders is a talented thrower of the football. There were some throws he made with people right in his face. I thought it was great, right? I thought it looked really good. But I'd like to know what was in his head, his dad's head, the OC's head when they passed the ball with 1 minute to play, when all they had to do was just burn North Dakota State's final timeout, and then keep the ball from them. Instead, he went deep on an incompletion, stopped the clock. The Bison used another timeout, and they eventually got the ball back and got close, right? And if the conversation, which I heard, I didn't hear him say it, I heard the second end, if Sanders' thoughts was, I got to get my boy a touchdown, then he's a chump. I mean, he has all the talent in the world, but these are my doubts about Shedeur Sanders. When has he endured adversity, right? When has he been punched in the nose and had to respond without using his father's last name? This is why I have doubts about Shedeur Sanders in the NFL. It's not a talent issue. It's a character issue. It's a personal, what's inside of you issue, because he acts like a child in many ways, you know, the showing the watch and everything. And I root for Deion. I think what they're doing at Colorado is great, but his kid's got to grow up. And that was the interesting conversation that broke today. Is former Jets GM Mike Tannenbaum mentioned that CeeDee Lamb was expendable, and everyone went crazy on one of those ESPN shows. And there was talk that, you know, Jerry Jones would love to have Shedeur Sanders as a quarterback, and that's why he's not signing Dak Prescott. But here's the thing. They got it butt backwards. They gave all this money to CeeDee Lamb, and they don't know who their quarterback's going to be. CeeDee Lamb is a guy you can replace. Did you see the list of receivers I just mentioned? Were these guys hard to find? Let me go through that list again. Jalen Waddle, Devontae Adams, DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp, Devonta Smith, Nico Collins, DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel, CeeDee Lamb, of course, A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tyree. Half the league has a frontline receiver. You can get another receiver. Instead, they sold the farm to CeeDee Lamb instead of trading him when they should have and making room to make a move on a quarterback. But it's what the Cowboys did, and I'm thrilled about it. I'm thrilled about what the Cowboys have done. Yeah, good stuff there. Hey, I'm Joe Terozin. I was a sports writer for 21 years. Now I do RamView, thanks to our sponsors at Kister Law and Temple City Auto, so we do appreciate them. We do have a fellow that's going to share his app with us. It's not going to be a RamView app, but hopefully that's coming down the road. But what it is it's a new gaming platform, and we're going to be he's going to be one of our sponsors on the show. And we're hopefully to get that stuff out in the next week to 10 days or so. So looking forward to that. But all this helps along with you purchasing my books on Amazon. Like I said, Game Day in the Ram Cave is available. I just was notified before I went on that it is available now in Kindle format. Paperback format will be available later this weekend. I just haven't had a chance to look at it. I saw some of the layout. It looked good. So if you want to go to Kindle, Amazon, and buy that, that would be great. Great support for RamView. We appreciate it. I see the questions piling up here and folks clicking on. Really happy to have an audience on a Friday when I know there's places you guys can be. JD Durham, again, thank you for kicking on. Bill, hello, new center. There you go, Jonah Jackson, right? Tim Powers, optics are Rams are in panic mode. Hope that's not true. I'm not too worried about it. I think everything's fine. I don't think the Rams have given us no reason to think things are out of control in the past. So I think these moves are planned and they're going forward with them. Bill, we have to sign an offensive lineman or two to provide depth. That is interesting. I think right now we've got 8 offensive linemen available. 8. That's a little thin if somebody goes down right now. I'm looking at that roster. Let me scan down here, look at our offensive line. So you have Steve Avila, Bo Limmer, Jonah Jackson, Kevin Dotson, and then you got Havenstein, who's out. Actually, if Havenstein is out, the Rams only have 7 offensive linemen. And that means Bo Limmer and Logan Bruss will be the backups if something happens. So it wouldn't be surprising to see the Rams make some kind of short-term move. And I thought Connor McDermott being on the roster, that was the move, but instead they put him on IR. Yeah, I think you're right, Bill. I don't think the Rams are going to go into that game Sunday night with just 7 offensive linemen. So, yeah, there we go. If Havenstein's not playing, but the question is, Havenstein going to play or not? And I get a feeling he is going to play. JD Durham, good breakdown. Oh, my mocking of the 49ers? Thank you. I hope that's what it was. Bill, all this sad news about the Niners makes my day. It does. It made my day too. And it was just funny because I was clicking on different shows and everyone's doing their previews right now. And I was stunned by people were just so adamant about the 49ers being the team to beat in the NFC West. And I'm not saying they couldn't win the division. I'm not saying that they're not a playoff team. I'm just saying if you can't recognize age, salary, these other issues are we didn't even mention Christian McCaffrey's had a tender calf. They've gotten 2 healthy years out of Christian McCaffrey. Do you get a third? Out of him? I heard in fantasy drafts, Christian McCaffrey is still very much at the top of the list of maybe first player available. I got burned on Christian McCaffrey when he was in Carolina because he was always broke down. He's given Frisco 2 healthy years. Do you see a running back pushing into his late 20s, not having health issues? I do, and they've lost Elijah Mitchell for the season. So, yeah, good news for Ram fans. FYI, Rams great Frank Corral interview today. Must see. Bro, USA Expat, I was just going to talk about DeMarco Farr's LA Iconic or Rams Iconic show on YouTube. I watched the Frank Corral interview. That was a good interview. It's in my notes to suggest that. Thank you very much there for stealing my thunder, Mr. USA Expat. JD Durham, laugh out loud. SM, hey, everybody, how's it going? All the negative noise on the Rams right now seems completely overblown, a.k.a. Mike Florio special. Trust McVay. Yes, I will say that, SM. Mike Florio, that dude comes up with stuff, man, again, we understand there is that balance there. When I was at Mid-Valley Sports and working at the Mid, we knew based on what the headline was, what we said, it did turn into a click factory, not a content factory. I mean, we tried really hard. Everyone tries really hard to avoid that. But man, everything is a fight to gain clicks. And Florio is just as bad as anybody else. In fact, he's worse because some of his presuppositions, his thoughts, his things he puts out there, it's like, dude, what are you saying, man? It's like, what are you saying? And he is generally negative Rams. So I would say until we've been given other thought, trust McVay. JD Durham gives me a smile. Okay. Tim Powers. It'll be a great opening season challenge for the Rams. I like the underdog position. Yeah, people are talking Super Bowl for the Lions. I heard Kyron Williams interviewed today. I'm not sure where I heard it, but I heard it, and the broadcaster was talking about all the noise, all the talk is on Frisco because teams are writing off the Rams. I think what's happened is the Aaron Donald retirement has been blown completely out of proportion. Now, it looks a little bit better if Ernest Jones is still in town, but okay, Rams feel good about their linebacker room of 5 undrafted free agents. Speaking of looking for another tackle or offensive lineman, Elias Neal better not quite buy right now. Maybe he should just keep renting. But yeah, everyone's just been down on the Rams, and I don't get it. And the part I loved was when they said everything seems so dependent on Matt Stafford, and if Matt Stafford goes down, this team goes down. If Jordan Love goes down, Green Bay's done. If Jared Goff goes down, Detroit goes down. If Brock Purdy goes down, Frisco goes down. Dak Prescott doesn't have to go down. Dallas is going down, right? We know this. Kyler Murray doesn't have to go down, but Arizona's going to go down anyway. But Jalen Hurts goes down, Philly's done. Just run through the list. KC, if Mahomes gets hurt, your quarterback is so central that the argument to say, oh, Matthew Stafford, if he gets hurt, it all falls apart. Of course it all falls apart. And that's why the argument, the debate, which is thankfully 2 weeks behind us now, everyone's so worked up about Stetson Bennett being the backup quarterback for 2 games. Who cares? If Matthew Stafford gets hurt, you got a bigger problem than Stetson Bennett. Your season's over. Your season rides on Jimmy Garoppolo staying healthy for 15 games. Jimmy Garoppolo can't stay healthy for 15 games, and that's just to get in the playoffs. You could throw the division out if Matthew Stafford gets hurt, but everyone works all up. If Stafford gets hurt, Heck, if Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, if Josh Allen gets hurt, Anyway, you know where I'm coming on that. Real quick here, you guys feel free to keep throwing questions my way. Love it. Again, love that I have an audience on a Friday. Real quick here. Georgia Tech is my number 1 team because they went to Ireland and won last week. North Carolina is my number 2 team because they won. They won, and the fireworks went off for North Carolina. I liked Minnesota. I liked how they played, and I think they did well. And all 3 of those teams, Georgia Tech, North Carolina, and Minnesota, would have beat Colorado last night. I don't want to show disrespect to North Dakota State. I'm not trying to show disrespect to North Dakota State. They played a really good game, but Deion now has had 2 years to get this defense together, 2 years to get the physicality together, 2 years to get the killer instinct together. They were 5 yards from losing that game last night, Colorado was. 5 yards, because they had a brain-dead moment with their brain trust, which includes their head coach, their OC, and their quarterback. And if their quarterback was really saying, I had to get my boy a touchdown, when you could have taken off those final seconds. And here was the other thing. Look how far back the Bison started in that final drive. They got to midfield, and they got jobbed by the refs. They got the first down, 15 seconds left. They're at the line. They didn't get that clock. They didn't get the next snap until 9 seconds were left. They ripped off 5 or 6 seconds from the Bison at the end of that game, as well as there was a couple other shady plays there. And it never would have happened. The last throw is caught at the 5-yard line. That's 5 yards from losing to a FCS school in your home opener. What were they thinking? What were they thinking in terms of management and everything? If you really want to play with the big boys, right? If you want to play in the big leagues, Deion, he knows better. I'd like to think he knows better. If that was his son's choice, boy, his son should be taken to the woodshed. But again, I don't know if Shador has ever had anyone in his grill. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. And the real test for Deion is going to be, I can buy into everything he's doing. But I want to see him do it next year when without Shador, and then possibly, because I think Travis Hunter has to come back for a 3rd year. I want to see him do without those guys, right? Otherwise, Georgia Tech, North Carolina, Minnesota all beat Colorado last night. And only because I'm upset with Florida State, I got Florida State number 5. And they could probably beat Colorado. If that's the best that we're going to get out of Colorado this year. They got to nut it up. They got to play better. I don't know what you guys' thoughts were about that game, but yeah, it bugged me quite a bit. All right, some quick Rams updates. Check out DeMarco Farr's interview with Frank Corral, Rams Iconic. It was pretty cool. Also, I checked out Payo Time from Canada. That was pretty good, 12, 14 minutes. He did a breakdown of the center guard flip-flop between Avila and Jackson. Here was something interesting that we saw. There was that article that said the Rams were spending only $44.1 million on their defense this year. And so I wanted to see who was the highest spending team, and they said it was the Steelers at $145.8. The Steelers this year are spending over $101 million more than the Rams are on their defense. The Steelers' cap hits for this season are TJ Watt, they're giving him 30 rocks. They're giving Cam Hayward, this is last year of his contract, 22.4. They're giving a safety, Minka Fitzpatrick, 21.3, and a defensive end, Larry Ogunjabi, 13.2. Now, Hayward comes off the list next year, but next year, Alex Highsmith and Patrick Queen both jump into double digits. Do you know when the Steelers last won a Super Bowl? Or forget Super Bowl, a playoff game? January 15th, 2017 against Alex Smith's Kansas City Chiefs. That's the last time the Steelers won a playoff game, and that was during the 2016 season. So if you're not growing, you're dying, and the Steelers are still putting things together like it's 2008 or 1998 or 1988, and just look at it. Just look what they're doing. And I just thought that was amazing. Also, it's kind of interesting when you talk about the Rams are a Super Bowl contender this year. NFC Championship game, anything less than a conference championship game would be a great disappointment for Ram fans, I think, because that's how well I think this team is looking. That's where the NFC is at. Rams are right there with Frisco, Detroit, and Green Bay. I'm not high on Philly because I'm not high on Jalen Hurts. Never high on the Cowboys. Falcons, I think the Falcons have improved, but that's about it. Rams should go to the conference final. Should they win it, go to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl, lose it? I'm not talking about that, but they should go to the conference final. And here the Steelers are spending 145 rocks, almost 146 rocks this year for their defense, and they might not even make the playoffs. They're going to struggle against, the Browns. They're going to struggle against Cincy. They're going to struggle against Baltimore. Tough division, right? But then outside your division, you've got to deal with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Then you got to make sure, how far along is Houston going to come? How far along is Jacksonville? Are they going to bounce back? And but Pittsburgh spending 145.8 rocks on their defense, and really look at their offense. Look at their quarterback situation. Look at their offensive line situation. Not too good, Chief. Rams, the 53 players on the Rams' current roster, before it's fiddled with, as of right now, 26 of the Rams' 53 players on their roster are in their second season or less. That means second season, first season, and that's it, right? They're either rookies or second-year guys. And that eliminates Quentin Lake, third-year guy. Kobe Durant, third-year guy. Russ Yeast, third-year guy, right? It eliminates so many of these people. I think it eliminates Jake Hummel, third-year guy. And the Rams still have 26 of their 53 players are in their second season or less with the Rams in the league. 14 of them are on defense. And the Rams are ready to compete for a title. The world has changed. I don't know if defenses win playoffs anymore or championships. A defensive play can make you win a championship, but I don't know if all-out defenses can win championships anymore. All right, I see the questions piling up, guys. I promise I'll get to it. I heard a rumor. I was working a funeral yesterday. My day job is I pastor a small church in Burbank called Burbank Faith Nazarene, and we're right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual. burbankfaithvirtual.com, all those things. I've shared it with you before. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I had to do a funeral yesterday, and it was I was at a viewing, and it was a big viewing. A lot of people were there, and those things can get, people are just happy to be together sometimes. Family comes together, there's reunions and everything. So it was very respectful. I was in the back of the room, and I started talking to another sports fan, and his son came in, and he said he just heard breaking news that Blake Corum had been named the Rams starting running back. And I'm like, I didn't want to say anything because they didn't know what I do. And so I kept quiet, but I'm thinking, where did you get this? And I was thinking Mike Florio, right? And so I typed in Blake Corum, starting running back for the Rams, didn't find anything. I saw his interview with Rich Eisen, and it's typical, Blake Corum's a good dude. It's obvious. He's going to eat. He's going to get the ball. He just won't be seated at the head of the table. So I don't know where that rumor started. If you guys heard anything about Blake Corum being the starting running back, awesome sauce, let me know. Okay. I think we got through most of that. All right. Let's
it was a stone group,
before we look at this date in Rams history, let's look at some of the notes we got here. Guys, I so appreciate you being here. Let me know you're here. Drop us a line. Thank you for subscribing. We finished last season with 140 subscribers, and we didn't expect our numbers to jump, and you guys have doubled us. So thank you so much. Appreciate your support. All right, let's see. USA Expat. Everyone down on the Rams and Lions. The Lions seem to be marketed as this year's NFC darling. I think there is something to that. I think there is something to that. But watch how hard they hit if the Vikings, if the Lions skip and fall. If they trip and fall, there's injuries that pile up. If Hendon Hooker has to end up starting, Jared Goff has been remarkably healthy. The last Jared Goff injury was that thumb? Was it the thumb in 2020? And up to this point, he's been remarkably healthy. And we know how the NFL works. Stuff happens. And, and anyone can go down, as we talked about with Stafford. But yeah, will they still be the darlings, right? Will they? And I think because of the way he acts, the way he's so gregarious, I think people want to see Dan Campbell fail. I think they do. I think Colin Cowherd was just salivating at the opportunity to announce Dan Campbell's firing because of the bite him in the kneecap stuff. And everyone was all into that because, let's face it, the alpha male is really taboo these days. And Dan Campbell is very alpha, but let's give him credit. Him and Brad Holmes, they have changed that environment in Detroit. I think it's great. I think Detroit has great uniforms. I don't know what they're doing this year, but yeah, they are going to be the darlings. But soon as they trip and fall, they're going to love tearing Dan Campbell apart. Josh Reynolds drops 2 passes last year in the playoffs, and suddenly it was Dan Campbell's fault for the way they ran their offense all year that got them into that position. Josh Reynolds drops 2 passes in that playoff game, and then they're laying it on Dan Campbell. So the KBM's waiting to pounce on the Lions. I truly believe. Willie Bowen, Rams has a good wide receiver core. Absolutely, they do. They do. And they were able to keep Xavier Smith. He slipped through waivers for the practice squad. And so there's depth there, Kupp was a 3rd-round pick. Nakua was a 5th-round pick. Are you really – everyone's just seems guaranteed that Jordan Whittington is going to be that next guy. I hope he's that next guy. I really do. But come on, right? I mean, can you do that each time, right? It would be kind of funny that the Rams have 2 of the top receivers in the NFL, and they were 3rd-round and 5th-round picks. When you talk about you can get receivers, you can't find quarterbacks. But the Rams do have some excellent receivers. And don't sleep on Demarcus Robinson. Demarcus Robinson did a great job for the Rams last year. SM, I'm worried about Troy Reader just like everyone else, but I'm very excited to see what Cam Curl, Cam Kitchens bring to this defense. They're just talking about the Rams staying in that permanent nickel, and those safeties, Cam Curl, even Quentin Lake, they can pick up the slack on some of that physicality, also coverage. The whole thing of that off-ball linebacker spot. We talked about this, man, early when I started doing the show. We haven't talked about. Remember Trayvon Howard? Trayvon Howard was the guy that got the pick, against Frisco. Trayvon Howard was a safety in school, and he became a linebacker. And so we talked about this position where they're heavy safeties, right? Because that whole concept of the middle linebacker is kind of blown out of the water now. You have to run. You have to perform in coverage. And so some of these guys, like JJ is a traditional safety. Cam Curl, I think, is a little bit more than can come down. I think they're hoping that with Cam Kitchens. Russ Yeast is not built that way, but he's very physical. And Quentin Lake, I mean, man, seeing Quentin Lake at the Star last year, and then just seeing Quentin Lake interviewed, how can that guy not become your favorite Ram in the very, very near future? So I'm wondering if that defense is going to look a little more safety heavy than linebacker heavy, instead of like Troy Reeder and Christian Roseboom. Is it one of those linebackers and more safety? I don't know. We'll see. But Troy Reeder makes the Rams sleep good at night, just like JJ does. We talked about this. And Christian Roseboom played over his head last year. Rams got clicks out of him. I like Jake Hummel right now. And then they obviously loved Elias Neal and Omar Spates. They obviously did. So yeah, I'm not as worried as maybe I should be. Willie Bowen, don't leave out Ramalia Sports Report. I won't, man. I'm not downing on those guys. I just didn't get a chance to see them this weekend. I promise I'll make it a point after the show to watch them. Thank you, Willie. JD Durham, those last 8 games for them are going to be brutal. Are we talking about Frisco? Help me out with that one, JD. Tim Powers, don't like the matchup with Jamar Gibbs against the Rams linebacker Reeder and Roseboom. Speed to the sideline is to Gibbs' advantage. Now, Gibbs has been a little banged up, I think, this summer. And I hope the Rams have learned some lessons here in terms of matchups, right? I mean, what was the worst thing you could say last year about the Rams defense as they surprised everybody? It was always, why is Michael Hoyt trying to cover people downfield, right? Why is Michael Hoyt out there guarding a slot receiver? I hear what you say. The good news is Chris Shula was there last year. McVay's still there. I think I'm going to give Rams the ability to adjust and counter that. Jahmyr Gibbs is dangerous. JD Durham, hit the like button. Do I need to hit the like button, or you hit the like button for me? Everyone else hit the like button. Thank you so much. SM would like to know how many of those people freaking out about Kyron returning punts drafted him in fantasy. Yeah, right? I had a theory about Kyron Williams and the punt. Thanks for bringing it up because I didn't put it in my notes, SM. My thing is that we got Kyron Williams this year and you got Kyron Williams next year. Do you think the Rams are going to give him a second contract? That's why Blake Corum's here, right? Chances are he won't get a second contract. Hard for running backs to get other contracts, right? It really is. Guy can catch the ball. He could run the ball. And now if he displays that punt return ability, he just has that versatility to bring to his game. Boston Scott was like that, but the Rams gave him a look-see because he also helped in the return game. And I think the more stuff Kyron Williams demonstrates he can do, he might be thinking, hey, the Rams probably aren't going to sign me for a 5th year, but I want to show that what I'm capable of. And he seems to have a great attitude about it. So that's really good. But I'm glad you brought up Kyron Williams returning punts. They obviously feel safe with his hands, right? They feel safe with his hands. Bill, do you think another signing is coming soon? I think as you guys pointed out, there's got to be a lineman down there. If Havenstein's out, do the Rams really go into week 1 with just 7 active offensive linemen, and then being Bo Limmer and Logan Bruss, who've never played an NFL snap in the regular season? So I would think so. I would think there has to be something else out there. There is another open spot on the practice squad. Rams have 16 on the practice squad. They can add that 17th one. So we'll see, right? And who's on that practice squad right now that's an offensive lineman? Mike McAllister, A.J. Akuri. They could bring A.J. Akuri up. That's a possibility too. And he was okay during the preseason, and they found a way to keep him. USA expat. My eyes will probably be drawn to number 27 of the Rams for the first game. Very excited. Who's wearing 27? My mind is drifting right now. USA expat. Let me know who's number 27. I'm drifting right now. JD Durham, Steelers, all division rivals, and Ravens and Chiefs. Yeah. Oh, Ravens. Yeah, I forgot. Well, the Ravens are in the division, but Yeah, there's trouble there for the Steelers. I agree. SM Cup did it a few seasons ago and fair catch like 90% of the time. Yeah, I agree. And again, I think at that point you're okay, but maybe the Rams do think that Kyron Williams can give them a little more juice in that spot. It was almost a giveaway last year. You just gave it away. And even when Cup was doing it, it was almost like, let's just make sure we catch the ball, right? Let's just make sure we catch the ball. Dave Jaremba, the Detroit boys from church, from crunch time, talking crud right now. Oh, okay. I guess they are, and that was a shame last year. I was kind of rooting for Detroit all season. I didn't end up hating Detroit, but they did talk a lot of neck, right? They talked a lot of neck, a lot of trash going into that. And of course, the Tyler Higbee injury just set everybody off. And so Tre'Davious White, he's number 27. Thank you, Mr. Powers. I appreciate that. Yeah, they could talk all they want. They still got to do it, right? As much as the Rams are living with losing that playoff game to Detroit last year, Detroit has to live with blowing a chance to go to the Super Bowl. And of course, that's why Josh Reynolds was put in the street, right? They are talking a lot of neck, and they better save it though, because they got 2 games against the Packers and the Vikings and the Bears, and so it could be kind of rough on them. Bill, with the Rams having so many safeties and linebackers, do you think the Rams will show multiple fronts? Yeah, I think I touched on that just a little bit there with the safeties. I think we can see more safeties coming down instead of 2 linebackers, 1 linebacker. I can see that happening. I'd like to think that, because you got to add wrinkles, even though this is still by form still that Vic Fangio offense from 2020, right? After Phillips was put in the street and they brought in Brandon Staley, Vic Fangio guy, the high shot. Everyone's doing it now. You still got to add tweaks to it. You can't come out and play the same defense. The NFL's too smart. They're too smart. They figure things out too soon. The technology is there to see tendencies and trace these things. So yeah, I do think they have to bring some tweaks to that defense. I agree. Let's see. USA Expat, Tre'Davious White. J.D. Durham, Eagles and Chiefs. Yeah. What about Eagles and Chiefs? Am I missing something there? Correct me on that one. Manny Correa, what's up? J.D. Durham, they'll probably throw multiple formations at him. I have no doubt. No doubt. Tim Burns, what do you think of our punter's new kick style? It starts end over end and move away as it goes up, then goes left on the way down. People have issues with it. You know what? I haven't even given a thought to it. I haven't even given a thought to Ethan Evans at all. I just, some people are saying he had a bad preseason. Man, just kick the ball. That's all I want. Just kick the ball. I'll look that up, Mr. Burns. USA Expat. First, steal your corral, Thunder. Oh, for stealing your through. And now I test your memory. Oh yeah, you're kicking my butt down there in Costa Rica, USA Expat. Manuel Correa, Spates will take care of Gibbs. From your lips to the football god's ears, small g, may that happen, Manny Correa. And there you go, Manny saying hi to everybody. Okay, let's blitz through this state and Rams history. I'll come right back and get to you there. Oh, J.D. Durham, you were saying all division rivals plus the Eagles and Chiefs. Brutal for the Steelers, absolutely. Okay, on this day in Rams history, August 30th, 1977, the Rams waived a very famous UDFA, very popular one, Rob Scribner. Anyone remembers Rob Scribner? I know I have a brother out there that loved Rob Scribner, kind of patterned his high school game after Rob Scribner. Scribner went on the IR in 77. He never played another down. And he had a brief tryout with Philly in 78 because Dick Vermeil was the head coach, and that was his coach in college. And yet, I don't know if Vermeil was there when Scribner was there. Anyway, he was released by the Rams. He had a big game against the Steelers in 75 in that late season game at the Coliseum where Jaworski had the quarterback draw, and the Rams won, I think, 10-3 or 10-6. But yeah, Rob Scribner. There we go. On this date in 1978, the Rams waived Al Cowlings. Yeah, the OJ guy. Cowlings, though, what people forget, 6'5", 255, which was huge for 1970 when he was drafted. 5th overall selection by the Buffalo Bills in 1970. He joined the Rams late in 75, was released in 76, made some bounce backs, came to the Rams, got cut again. He appeared in 12 games for the Frisco in 79, and then his career was over. No one remembered him until the White Bronco. In 1988, on this day, the Rams released Donald Evans. Remember Donald Evans? He was the 2nd-round pick, 47th overall, and the Rams didn't know what to do with him, right? And they ended up putting him in the street. He ended up carving out 7 NFL seasons, mainly with the Steelers. Get this. He didn't do anything with the Rams, but he ended up playing 89 games, starting 82, and collecting 17 sacks, which is far better than the guy the Rams released on this day in 1993, who was the 21st overall pick in the 89 draft, a pick provided by the trading of Eric Dickerson, botched by John Shaw and John Robinson. His name was Bill Hawkins out of Miami. That's a bad name. I shouldn't even mention Bill Hawkins. Right up there with Adam Carricker, right? Rams always looking for that next Jack Youngblood. Bill Hawkins played 4 seasons, 42 games, 8 starts, 5 sacks. Bye-bye. And they got rid of him, and his career was pretty much over. And also on this date, in 1993, the Rams released Damone Johnson. Been talking about this guy quite a bit the last couple weeks. Coy Bacon was born on this day in 1984. He passed away in 2008. Undrafted free agent of Jackson State. Cowboys had him. Rams got him for a 5th-round pick. He was the guy that stepped in when Lamar Lundy started fading, and his time increased, was a starter through 1972, made a Pro Bowl. He was included in the deal along with Rob Thomas that went to the Chargers to bring John Hadle to the Rams. So in some ways, Coy Bacon was responsible for that, being a piece that helped get the Rams that draft haul when Klosterman traded John Hadle to the Packers a couple years later. In San Diego, he didn't like it there. He was playing with Deacon Jones again. He was moved to the Bengals in 76. His career caught fire again. That season in 76, unofficially 21.5 sacks. He should be in the Hall of Fame. I've talked about this. 130.5 career sacks. And he got involved with drugs after his career. But the good news here is he turned his life around, gave it over to God, became a Christian, and spent his remaining years traveling as a speaker and working with young people. Big Coy Bacon guy right here. Tomorrow, since we're not on the air, we're all going to be watching college football. On August 31st, 1981, the Rams waived Elvis Peacock. Now, without Elvis Peacock getting hurt, we might not have had Wendell Tyler, but Elvis Peacock, what a shame, right? You know, they're just tragedy there. 1983, Rams on August 31st acquired Mark Giroux from the Colts. And there we go. Yeah, I'm not going to go into Sunday stuff. I'll save it for you for some other time. But there we go. Let's see if we got some other questions here. Tim Burns, up, man. You guys are all just talking. Everyone's all just talking and hanging out, man. It's like my show and you're hanging out. I'm like the social media guy. Let's see here. USA Expat. Saddened to hear Corral say that Willie Miller was one Ram, that no one seems to know what happened to him. Willie Miller, boy, you do a breakdown on Willie Miller's life. That guy, total stud, military hero, came back and played football. You got to love Willie Miller. Tim Burns, with the defense having additional question marks we didn't foresee, what is your revised, if any, wins, loss guess? Everything still stays equal. I still see high end for the Rams, high end, because most of their tough games are here at SoFi. They don't go on the road to play Buffalo. They don't go on the road to play Miami. The Vikings are here. You know, they play Caleb Williams into September. I think they got the Patriots and Jets. I think the Patriots are a little bit later and such. They don't have any heavy games in bad weather. And, of course, again, it's all contingent on everyone being healthy. I think high end is 13. I didn't think the Rams would get to 10 last year. We said high end, 10. Low end, 8. And they got to 10. And low end for me this year would be 11. It would be 11. And that's provided there's just no slip-ups, right? There's no giveaway games. That game in Cincy last year sent me through the roof. I was so angry after the Cincy loss. That one, that ticked me off like nothing other. I was getting a little frustrated with the Indy game, but we pulled that one out. But the Cincy game really frustrated me. I felt like the Rams, Brett Maher aside, the Rams should have beaten Pittsburgh. I think they could have beat Philly. I think they were leading at halftime against Philly. There were just games they gave away. And I have to admit, I broke a water bottle when the punt return happened against the Ravens. That one, that's where they don't count clips and pushes in the back when you're in Baltimore. Anyway, I digress. So I could see this team winning 13. I could see them winning 11. I see them definitely as a playoff team. So yeah, with all the things that are going on there, Mr. Burns, I'm not changing or swayed on where they're going to be. Bill, do you remember Marcus Dupree? Do I remember Marcus Dupree? Let me tell you about Marcus Dupree, because on my September 1st thing here, my September 1st that I wasn't going to get into, on September 1st, 1992, the Rams released Marcus Dupree. Yep. Yeah. They released Marcus Dupree. Chuck Knox wasn't going to keep him. And so I loved Marcus Dupree. I thought he ran the ball pretty well in that limited stint for the Rams. Just then again, stuff happens, right? I mean, maybe he shouldn't have left Oklahoma. I don't even know if he played it down at Southern Miss. Then he went to the USFL. What was he, 19? Was he 20 when he blew out his knee with the breakers? And of course, catastrophic knee injury. You couldn't just have a simple knee injury. It's got to be catastrophic. And just a shame, just really, really a shame, because if you saw him that freshman year at Oklahoma, you could understand why people were he was right up there with all those Oklahoma legends, Joe Washington, Billy Sims, Overstreet, all those guys. You understood why he was out there. So, hey, I just got back driving cross country, and I'm going through Oklahoma and Kansas, and Billy Sims has some barbecue joints out there. I wanted to get off the freeway and find one, but we were pressed for time. There we go. So, yeah, I do remember Marcus Dupree. Micah Gutierrez, I don't think I've answered anything from you. Thank you, Micah. And the Steelers game. The Steelers game was a game where you just going to break things, You just want to break things. And it wasn't bad enough that the Rams did it to themselves and Brett Maher, and then they get jobbed on that placement at the end of the game, right? Those are the things that just send you through the roof, right? But I'm mature. I'm over it. I'm not bitter. Someone said, Joe, how long are you going to hang on to your bitterness against the Cowboys? I said, until they rot and lie stinking in the earth. But, that's just me. You can be whoever you want to be. SM, Nick Wright has the Rams winning the division and Matthew Stafford as an MVP sleeper. I think I saw that. Did he say that on First to Speak First, or Morning Speak Up? All those shows sound the same to me. I know he's on FS1, and he's a huge Chiefs guy. I know Coward has kind of come around to Matthew Stafford on his show. But yeah, I give him credit. I don't know how, if you're following the NFL, how you can look at what's going on in Frisco right now and be optimistic for them this season, and anything other than it could go either way, right? The Rams do need to win in week 3 against Frisco. They need to win that one. And then you can worry about the late season game, but they need to win that one just to establish it. Tim Burns, Stafford could throw for 5,500 yards, 30 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and they won't MVP the guy. They won't. And you know what they'll do? They'll talk about the 6 interceptions. Have I said this? And I'll say it again, just as a reminder, as we've gone over the 50-minute mark, and I got to wind this thing down. Just as a reminder, don't get caught up in the interception stuff. Don't get caught up. The KBM is so stupid when it comes to that. And I just cannot believe all the analytics people have not started breaking down, these quarterbacks and what their actual interception total is versus the other in total. Because the truth is that balls get tipped, receivers run wrong routes. These things can get figured out, and they blow them out of proportion. Stafford again led the league in interceptions with 17 in 2021, and the Rams won the Super Bowl. It's not that big of a deal. Micah Gutierrez, the fourth quarter of the Lions playoff game, ate every last one of my fruits of the spirit. Hopefully we see Corum ball out in his return to Michigan. Wouldn't that be awesome if the Rams just came in there and because there is vulnerability. I know they got a Lee McNeil, but there is vulnerability in that Detroit front. I think the Rams have an opportunity. They have good stuff on the wings. Aiden Hutchinson, they replenish that secondary. It's going to take time for it to develop, and that might be what they're expecting. But what if the Rams just came in and ran the rock 40 times and just pushed them all over the field? And they've got, we talked about 1,000 pounds of mass on the interior of that line. And what a nice thing to do for like a young right tackle, if it is Warren McClendon, say, hey, man, just plow the road, right? Just plow the road. That would be a great thing to see. Tim Burns, Goff rules. I like Goff. I don't have anything bad to say about Goff, but no, I like Matthew Stafford better. Tim Burns, Rams 33, Detroit 31. I actually heard someone say that could be a higher shootout. Someone was saying like 42-37 Rams. That's what I heard, 42-38 Rams. I'll give you my thoughts on that next week. Okay, I think we got it in. Guys, thank you so much. As I said, Game Day in the Ram Cave is available in Kindle format right now. Soft cover is going to come out this weekend. I have not had a chance to look at it. So if there's anything screwed up on it, let me know. But I appreciate your guys' support with that and hope you enjoy the book. Leave a review, let me know, and we'll go from there. Thank you, Mr. Burns. We will talk to you guys soon. Take care. Let's enjoy some college football. God bless, guys.